They are vibrant, they are funny, they are wise, they are love. Their eyes have seen over half a century of life. Sometimes our youth-oriented society forgets or takes for granted the impact and value of maturity. They are relevant, they are experienced, sharing rare and intimate moments, stories, and lessons. They are presented in an extraordinary vision, exploring their grace, joy, and beauty. 20 forces of wisdom, laughter, and charm. 20 representations of race, culture, and backgrounds. They are stunning. They are a celebration of maturity. They are women over 50.
You know, people, women of my age, I look around the table and I'm always reminded, because most of us are financially comfortable and people can tell that, and they think, oh man, these women have got it all.
Yeah.
And tend to look, and you can just start right around our table when we all have lunch together or something. Lost her son.
Yes. Yeah.
Breast cancer.
Yeah.
Nursed a husband through Parkinson's disease. My daughter, oh my God, the challenges I had with that one, tried to kill herself, ran away, on drugs, abortions, disease, the list is endless. Her life has been just horribly, horribly difficult. And all those things, they take the corners off you.
Well, you know what? That's something I always wanted to ask you too. What do you think is the best lesson you've ever learned?
It's funny, I just talked to the young professionals.
Oh.
And I gave them 7 life lessons. But the best lesson out of all of it, and I told them, I said, let people surprise you. And what I mean by that is that people are so easy to dismiss people that either don't look like them or don't look cool or don't fit in or look plain or whatever. And every single person that I have taken the time to get to know has had some fascinating story. I said everyone has something about their life that is unique and wonderful, but everybody has some incredible things. So that's what I think the best lesson in life is, to learn to listen more and get to know people.
Yeah. Now I'm going to flip that. What do you think is the best lesson you've ever taught?
Oh boy, I don't know. Oh. Just reminding people that they know what the right thing is. If they're asking a question about what they should be doing, they already know what they really need to do. And probably the best thing I do for people is nudging them to do the right thing.
Now I want to ask you this. Being a woman that's identified as 50 or plus,
sure.
How do you feel at this point in your life?
Oh, blessed, grateful, fantastic. You're bothered because you're chubbier than you want to be. My friends and I call it fleshier. We're a little fleshier than we want to be. And as once in a while we miss being that girl that everybody looks at when she walks down the street, But that aside, the physical aside, everything in life is better. I think you're more comfortable in your skin. You've decided who you are. If you haven't, God help you. But you've gotten comfortable with your place in the world. And the other thing that I see with my friends and myself is in my 20s and 30s, I was not the best person I could be because I was a little arrogant and a little impatient and just so aggressive. And then life just knocks you in the head about a million ways and teaches you that you don't control the world and you don't control life.
Yeah.
And once you learn those lessons and you learn to kind of roll with it, I think it makes you a better person, and you're much more tolerant of things.
And humble.
very much so. And then you're just grateful for everything.
Yeah.
As your friends are sick and as you lose your parents, then you start to just appreciate every day and every person and everything good in your life.
Let me ask you this. What would you say is the greatest lesson that you've ever learned?
Forget yourself and focus on others.
Okay. Now, what's the greatest lesson you think you've ever taught?
Get acquainted with yourself, and when you get to know yourself, strike out for what you wish to do with your life. First, get acquainted. Get to know who you are. Don't let other people make a name for you. You search your spirit and you'll find out who you really are.
And how do you feel at this point in your life just about being a woman?
I've always enjoyed being a female. And simply because God made me a female, and I think women have more opportunities to be productive in life for other people, more so than men. Men get caught up in being in a position where they need to do more directing. Women need to be more involved with getting to others. I think that's part of God's plan.
And you've never married?
Never married.
And
do I regret it? No.
And is there anything that you'd like to share about your reasons for never marrying?
I never questioned it, so people would ask me why I didn't get married, and I didn't always have an answer until I thought about it more. I know that in order to do for others, you almost need to be single to really be able to spread yourself thin. And if I got married, I would have been obligated or finding myself in need of being a partner to another person. And I don't think God would, in fact, I know God didn't want me to, I know He didn't want me to be married probably from the age of 23 or 24, I really put two and two together that He wanted me to spread myself thin.
So with that, you're absolutely an example of being whole and healthy without having what's considered a life partner or a husband. And so...
very well put, Regina, yes. You can be just as whole and complete and have a purpose, married or not married. But I would say the majority of people are married because that was God's plan. There are very rare few people who are content at age 75 and not married. I'm very contented because I know I can help others.
Do you mind telling us how old you are?
Good, 81.
81.
81 years old. And I'm glad.
Now you have how many children?
5 kids and 40, I think it's 41 grand and great-grand.
Wow. What do you think is the one thing that you've taught all your kids?
Well, one thing is to be honest, to work hard, and take care of their family. I taught them that was most of my kids is married. They love their wives. And if they can't get along, walk away. Never they hit them. Never hit the woman. And as I know at that time it may sound really backward, but they seem to take it to work. I taught them to work, but they get an education because I couldn't get it. I wanted them to get a good education, and that's one thing. And if you're working for somebody and he teaching you, you help him make money with a screw, you watch and then you try to go in your own business and make that same screw. You know, I taught them to not just sell them for nothing when they can do better. And I've been blessed to see my kids going up in life, and now I'm watching my grandkids. So I am just a blessed lady to watch my grandkids grow, my kids, and my kids passing on to their kids. And I'm just happy. I get a thrill just sitting back looking at them.
What does God mean to you?
Everything. He means everything. Without him, I couldn't have brought them up, and without him, I wouldn't be anything. He's all. He's the most important. Talked to him this morning before I left, and I talked to him during the day. He is all. He's more important in my life than anything. He comes first, and then comes everything else comes second. Yeah. He means everything. Then when I wake up in the morning and can look around and can put my foot on, I thank him. Without him, I couldn't do nothing, wouldn't be nothing. Everything I own belongs to him. That's it.
Yolanda, wanted to kind of find out if you could say there's one life lesson that you've learned. What's the greatest lesson you've learned?
The greatest lesson I've learned, a life-changing lesson I learned, was this summer. This summer when I was part of a team that went to Malawi, Africa, and I lived in a village called Zua amongst the people. And the faith and the hope and the joy that I saw, I understood. We don't see that very often here in the United States. I learned that I can learn more from them than they can from me. And I wish that I wish we could bring them, a group of them, the Malawians from Zua, here so that they could teach us how to live with joy, hope, and just the faith that they have. That's the biggest life-changing. Their love for Jesus, those that have accepted Christ in their life and the way they live their lives, it's a marked difference from those that don't know Christ. Yeah.
Wow. As a woman that is now 50, how do you feel about that? How do you embrace yourself as a woman at this stage in your life?
As a woman in my 50s, as a mature woman, I can see things with greater wisdom I didn't possess in my youth. As youth, you tend to feel invincible, and with the maturity and the experience and the knowledge of matureness, you understand things with a greater wisdom than ever before. And I think that can only be had through the experience of maturity.
How do you feel at this stage of your life being identified as a woman who's over 50?
It's better than the alternative. It's fine, I don't feel that, I'm 50 or over 50. I'm just, I'm just me. And I'll do whatever it takes to, maintain myself, except for maybe exercise. That one I have a struggle with.
What would you say is the best lesson you've ever learned?
One lesson? Everything's so cliche that's running through my mind, and it's just. Oh, don't wait to be perfect. Just do it. Just get out there. Seriously, I also did my junior college. I was just talking to a client the other day, and she's actually this morning, Danielle. It's like, oh, I did my associates, and now I'm waiting to figure out what I want for my bachelor's. And I said, well, you could wait, but why? You're never going to do what you get your bachelor's in anyway. So just go ahead. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait to make up your mind. Just proceed and move forward, because no action is inaction, and you'll never get to the next step if you don't take the first step.
Arlene, what would you say is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
Probably that, you know, you are who you are, and it's silly to try to be somebody else. And you know, people put on airs, they pretend to be what they're not, and it never works because ultimately you are who you are.
Yes. Now, what would you say is the greatest lesson you've ever taught?
The greatest lesson, I've taught a lot of lessons about subject matter, but I think the greatest lesson I ever taught was that you, meaning the kids, you can be anything you want to be if you put the effort in, if you try, if you really have the right attitude, you can become anything you want to become, and obstacles don't have to be your big barrier. And that's what I try to teach the kids all the time. And it's so gratifying when they call me. They come and they visit when they call me. I had an email and a call this week from former students, and one who is a hellion. I mean, I thought she was going to end up in jail. One of them said she's getting her master's, and she still contacts me, and she thanks the school very much. And the other one just got her AA here, and she says she's going to continue, and I'm really proud of her.
Now, being a woman over 50.
Yes, I am.
How do you feel? How do you embrace that?
Well, I embrace it by saying, okay, I'm retired now, because I retired in July, and I'm not finished. This is not an end. This is a beginning. I'm starting my doctorate September 10th in educational administration, and I'm gonna create another job. I'm not gonna just, curl up and roll away. So what I'm doing is, one of the things I do, because I'm the career expert, I mean, that's one of the things I do for other people, is do the same thing for myself. And so what I want to do is create a new job. And I don't know what it'll be. So maybe it'll be already there. That would be nice, but it doesn't usually happen that way. I've always written a job description and pushed for any job. All the jobs I've had here, I've created. I've been the first one to do them. I wrote the job description. So if I don't like the job, it's my own fault, because I did it to myself.
Speaking of that, being a grandmother and being obviously comfortable of being identified as a woman that's 50 plus.
I can tell you, because I'm really happy about this. I'm 65, so yes, I'm real 50 plus.
Wonderful. How do you feel at this point in time in your life, overall, as a woman?
As a woman, honestly, Regina, I feel good. I feel really, really good. I have everything I need and most of what I want. I feel good.
Now, if you were to describe yourself in, let's say, 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Spiritual, respectful, happy.
What is the greatest lesson that you've learned in life?
Patience. And I'm still working on it, but patience.
What would you say is the greatest lesson that you've ever taught?
Regina, I'm going to say, and I don't know if I can put it in one word, but what I encourage people to do is to first look at yourself. What's your responsibility for whatever is happening with you? If you're happy, what makes you happy? If you're not happy, what's making you unhappy?
How would you define, or what is your definition of a wise woman?
As someone who is compassionate, someone who is patient, someone who is able to give. And I think a wise woman, Regina, is someone who knows her limits. And I mean in every facet of her life. How much you can give and still retain yourself. How much you're willing to take from someone else and not have to give up yourself. I think these things are important for women and men. You know, I think that goes back to your life lesson. That's understanding who you are. You know, first of all, we have to first understand who we are. We do that, I think, by being comfortable with ourselves, by having the ability to love and be loved.
Is there, to you, is there a secret to understanding men?
If it is, I don't know it. It is still a secret, let me say it like that. If I could answer that question, then I'd be, I don't know, somewhere sitting on a beach in Tahiti. But I don't know that understanding men is any different than understanding any person that you're in a relationship with. Anything ending in ship takes work. Relationship, membership, friendship. So you have to work at it.
How important is spirituality in you?
100% everything. It is a foundation to everything in my life.
So is it a ritual with you? How would you define it?
It's a lifestyle with me. It is not a ritual. It's a lifestyle.
How do you feel at this stage of your life being identified as a woman who's over 50?
I think it's unbelievable that I got here.
Agree.
Mentally, I still feel like I'm 21, but I know my body's not telling me that. But as far as everything, I really haven't paid attention to it. It's just like life goes on and we make adjustments and do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep on pushing and pushing.
What do you think has been the greatest lesson that you've learned in this life?
After my bout with cancer, that has been an eye-awakening that no matter how good you feel or how active you are, it's kind of hidden. I mean, anything can hit you without you even know it. I mean, you could be gone, you could be here one day and gone the next day without even realizing that you were even affected with anything. I just had a young friend that gave seminars for health and how to live a good life and being healthy. And one night she just fell asleep and she never woke up, and she was only 29.
Wow.
So you never know when it's your time. So you need to live the life to the fullest. And I'm learning that I have to enjoy life more.
So kind of the lesson that came out of that is to really be in the moment and enjoy life to the fullest.
Yeah, because I thought I was perfectly healthy until it was a big shocker when they told me I had cancer. I was unaware of it. I didn't feel no symptoms. And now you hear about it so much, you just don't know when it's your time. So you need to enjoy life as much as possible and do what you can for your community. I mean, work with whoever that you can brighten their days.
How would you define a wise woman?
A wise woman is a loving and caring person. That's, I think, a wise woman is. It's not the education, it's the lovingness and what they can give to others.
This stage in life, how do you perceive womanhood, and then how do you perceive your own womanhood?
I know because of the 70 years that I've lived that we women have achieved much. We were always achieving much, but now we are getting the credit for our achievements. For myself, the older I get, the bolder I get. Life is so wonderful. I'm enjoying so many things that before I didn't have the presence of mind to just push them aside, that would keep me down if I let them. But now I know where joy is achieved, and I achieve it.
Now, Donna, what are you most proud of?
If there's even one thing, it doesn't have to be one thing, but what are you most proud of?
I'm really most proud of the fact that we have 3 beautiful children who are contributors to the world. They're not takers. They expand their knowledge daily. They haven't just stagnated as they went into different phases of their lives, from school to marriage to children. They're still growing. And I think that that has to have, at least in part, been a contribution from my husband and myself.
Now, tell me, what do you think is the best lesson you've ever taught?
Wow. That the best lesson that I have taught, and I'm sure that I've taught this to my children, is that one can't look for the outside world to fulfill our needs, that it all comes from within.
What would you say is the best lesson you've ever learned?
That kindness in the face of meanness is a better response.
Say is the greatest lesson you've ever taught?
The greatest lesson I've ever taught. To believe in yourself and be who you are.
Being a woman who obviously is very comfortable in her skin and being identified as 50 plus. Tell me or share with me how you actually feel at this stage in your life.
I feel younger than I did when I was 30. I feel blessed to have good health and good friends. I feel grateful to have a loving son and family.
And you said you feel younger. Share with me a little bit about that. Younger in what way?
Younger because in my 20s and 30s, you're dealing with so much stuff. Figuring out who you are, what you want to do, where you want to go. By the time you hit 50, you say, by the time you hit 60, this is it, you know?
Do you define yourself as a woman artist or as an artist?
As an artist.
And why do you make the difference? Or do you see it as a difference?
I don't see a difference. Somebody else does. I don't.
Now, let me ask you something. Are you offended if you're referred to as a woman artist?
No. No. I am who I am. Take it or leave it.
At this stage in your life, let's say 20 years ago, do you have a need or desire for a companion or a mate, or where are you with that?
Having been married for over 30 years and in that relationship, that's done. I don't see myself getting married again. The reasons I got married are very different than what my needs are in a relationship now. Now I would see a male companion, a friend to hang out with, someone to do things with, but maybe love, I don't know. But there are all kinds of loves. And I think at this point in my life, my definition of love is very different. Very different.
How important is spirituality in your life?
Extremely. I recognize myself as a spiritual being and that I have to nurture that spirituality. And it doesn't have anything to do with accepting any particular dogma. I can take and pick from whenever I choose.
Can you share with me how you feel at this stage in your womanhood?
I'm really going into a new period of my life,
and it's really, really exciting. And it's exciting because I think when you said comfortable, I'm very comfortable with myself. For the first time, my son now is out of the home and on his own. And there's kind of a sense of relief for me. And I'm an empty nester now. And I'm, one of the exciting things is I'm dating now after probably 7 years because I really focused on being a really good mother. And I didn't make myself available. And so after 7 years, I'm dating, and I'm actually starting a blog. And it's about women over 50 who are beginning to date.
Wow.
So,
how important is spirituality in your life?
oh, it's very important. It's very important. Yeah. I think it consumes me at least 100%, if not more.
Wow.
Every day. It's an important piece of me. It is.
Yeah.
The greatest lesson that I've learned is I'm a breast cancer survivor, and 11 years now. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer 11 years ago, that really changed my perspective about everything. And it's taught me to be here in the now, be happy. Don't look to the future as being my happiness. It has to be now.
Wow. What you say is the greatest lesson you've ever taught?
I had lunch yesterday with a student who is on the is a senator here at Victor Valley College, and I told him two simple things because we were kind of talking and interacting. He was kind of wondering how I got to where I was today, and I said, there are just two simple things. It's just not me; it's for everybody that can really make you successful. And the one is be a good communicator, and the second one is follow through. And if you just do those two simple things, you will be a success in life. In your private life, in your professional life.
How do you feel at this point in your life?
I feel better today than I did when I was 20.
Wow.
I wish I knew back then what I know today. But I can't change the past. I learned by my mistakes. I'm closer to God than I've ever been in my life. God and I have a one-on-one relationship. I feel very close to God. And I wouldn't change my life now from that. I'm very happy, I'm very content. I wouldn't change anything. I'm very happy being 50 plus.
What's the best life lesson that you've ever learned?
I feel that had I known sooner, I wasted 16 years being uneducated. I think everyone should be educated. That no one can take away from you.
What's the best lesson you think you've ever taught?
Ever taught?
Ever taught.
Just being myself, being who I am, and not being ashamed of who I am. I'm just me. I can't. Sometimes I'm too loud. Sometimes I tell people, don't let the accent fool you. I'm not stupid. and people do confuse accents with how I'm portrayed. And a lot of people confuse my accent with a dumb hick. And that's, I wish they did. But I try to tell people, let's not do that. Let's not judge anyone. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Is there something that you would say was the key or secret that you learned along the way to that happiness that you're experiencing now?
And I found out I can't do it by myself. I have to ask others to help, and not being afraid to ask people to help us.
And was that something that was kind of eye-opening or hard for you?
Yes. I years ago I was always ashamed of being a victim of domestic violence. And I learned I shouldn't be ashamed. Now I'm a survivor. We're called survivors. We're no longer victims. And that's what I tell all the girls when they come in shelter. You're no longer a victim, you're a survivor. And that's what we teach them, tools to go out and work in the community, how to survive in the community.
When your son looks at you, what is it that you hope he sees?
I know what he sees today because he's told me that. He's told me what he sees today. He sees a strong woman and he admires her today. And years ago he didn't see that. He saw a victim. But I mean he every time he sees me, he hugs me, he kisses me when he leaves me. And he's 42. And then he'll still walk up to me and hug me and say, Mom, I'm very proud of you and I love you. So, and I'm very proud of him. He and I are very close. And today, I know he sees a strong woman, and he's proud of me.
How do you feel about where you are as a woman at this stage of your life?
And as a woman my age, I mean, I'm aware of it. I don't pretend that I'm 25 or 35. I interact with people that are 25 and 35. And I don't feel that being this age or being a woman has ever been a problem. I've never felt that way.
An experience or situation where you would say the greatest lesson I've ever taught.
Okay, well, you know, I took care of both my parents as seniors. And I set an example for my children, not necessarily to take care of me. It just happened that they did see this caregiving. And because people are living longer now, I think that being able to educate this generation now on how to care for people as they get older is very important. And I feel that I have been an example to my 3 children on what happens as the aging progress continues on.
Laughter.
Best medicine in the world. Better than anything you can buy over the counter or with a prescription. That's what laughter is. Yeah, we all need it. Sometimes I think we find, my God, I haven't heard myself laugh for a day or a week or a month. Oh gosh, it feels good to laugh.
Passion.
Passion. Well, first thing is passion, and the kind of passion that goes with I won't say the wrong thing here, but passion and love, you know, that kind of passion. And, you know, people need to feel that passion too. That's something that keeps you alive. Passion between 2 people. And then, of course, I think of passion as a word that you talk about what you put into something that you like you're passionate over dancing or teaching or playing your sport or something like that. We all need passion in every definition of the word.
Sexy.
Sexy. What do I think about sexy?
Yes.
That's a fun word. Oh, everybody should feel sexy from day 1 to the end. Yeah. Sexy is really a good part of life.
And how would you define a wise woman?
Well, I've always put, everybody else before me. And now that I would still put them first. But I would be able to direct them in a different way from what I know now. From the past, my mistakes, I would have. You know how you say you learn from your mistakes, which I have, and I would like to pass that on to my kids and my grandkids.
Let me ask you this. As far as life experience, what would you say is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
Get your education done first. I did it the other way around. I had a family, and then when my girls were in high school, then I went back to school. I can't stress enough on what it is for, especially for a female, to get educated. I've always tell them, please go to school, please, continue your education so that things don't work out for you. You have yourself to be able to depend on. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Everyone needs help. You can't do it all by yourself. No one's invincible. But to get the education done first.
Okay. All right. God.
He's always been here for me. He's guided me through everything. Ever since I was born, he's always been here. He's my protector. He guides me through life every day. And I thank him every day. God gets me through a lot. He's there when I'm happy. He's there when I'm sad. He's always here.
Let me ask you this. Is there anything that has taken place during your lifetime so far that you thought you would never live to see?
I am the first in the females in my family to gotten a high school diploma, to gotten a college degree, and to have a full-time job that I enjoy. I love my job. And that is a big accomplishment to me. I'm the oldest of 5. And only 2 of us have made it.
How about sexy?
Sexy. Can you still be sexy? Yeah. So yeah, depends on what you're wearing, who you're with.
Good point.
Yeah. And that can bring it out in you really good.
At this stage in your life, what would you say is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
But I would say carefully picking my friends. And what I mean by that is understanding that some of my friends are in my journey for a season, and then those who, I'm going to use a metaphor as a tree, those who are the trunks and the roots of my friendship has been with me 30, 40 plus years, even through grade school. And that's the strength of my friendship. But then I've had really good friends who've been with me, and I'd like to use that same metaphor to describe them as the branches. But as we know, oftentimes branches break off. And when they break off, some people may perceive that as sadness, but I realize that that's the extent of the part of their journey, my journey, that they're traveling with me. And then some of them are just leaves. They're everyday people. I meet, and we hang for a minute, and it just may be very, very temporary relationships, but they're all valuable.
For me, that we're in this position. how did you learn to go into corporate America and be successful and not have limitations define you or limit you?
Well, first of all, in corporate really, really taught me the value of education for me. And that wasn't necessarily so for some of my white colleagues. What I had to do is stay focused, create a sense of excellence. And yeah, there was a lot of people who did not look like me, especially in the information technology. My background is information technology, and I got into IT before PCs came to the homes and the desktops, and video teleconferencing are now described as little web cameras. I actually built video teleconferencing centers. So in corporate, my background being information technology, you didn't have only people who didn't look like me, but you certainly didn't have a lot of women. And it was a struggle. It was huge competition, and I was always competing. But the thing that I think made me a real winner, because there were a lot of injustices done, and every time there was an injustice done toward me, or I would skip for a raise, I would figure out how is it that I could get it anyway. So I would go and get a different degree. So that was relevant to what I was doing. And sometimes that even forced corporate to raise the glass ceilings, or let me through the back door when I couldn't get through the front door. But the most important thing in climbing that corporate ladder, and I felt very successful in climbing it, I was always looking for at least 10 women who looked like me to carry with me through those whole experiences, through teaching, mentoring, and encouraging them to benefit from education, because during that time, corporate paid you to do so. So where they couldn't give me a raise, at the end of the year, I got $10,000 worth of education. And I can use that for the rest of my life. And I pass that on to my children and my grandchildren.
How do you feel at this stage of the game?
Because I exercise so much and take care of myself and keep up on the latest music and styles, I feel like it's kept me younger.
Let me ask you this then. What would you say is the greatest lesson you've ever taught?
When I talk to young people, I want them to have confidence. Don't say I can't do something.
That's good.
I compliment them when they discover that on their own. I've got some great kids I'm doing facials on. They're 14 years old and they know things that took me until I was in my 20s to learn.
Oh.
I'm impressed.
Let me ask you this one. What do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned about men?
They're quite simple. They really aren't as complicated as we make them.
Ah. And what is your greatest joy?
Being able to stay healthy, go to the gym. I don't have children. I have shoo-shoo, but, you know.
That's your baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have a dog.
Okay.
But she brings me a lot of joy. I don't know if she's my greatest joy.
But she's joy.
Yeah.
And what would you say at this stage in your life you're most proudest of?
I think I've led a very moral life, honest. I don't have any regrets about that.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I'd like for you to share with me how you feel, or even if you given any thought about being a woman who is 50 or plus? You know, how do you feel about that?
Well, I used to dread it, of course, when I was in my 40s. I would dread that, exchange over into the 50 plus category. I'm finding that I can look at my life and I can see it in decades. And I can see it as decades of training and decades of teaching. And now I think that I'm feeling that I'm in a decade of prospering. And that's a really good thing, because when I dreaded it, I used to think it was the decade where everything would be over for me and that I was about ready to kind of take a step backwards. But I'm finding that I'm getting to do things in my 50s that I couldn't have done when I was 30, couldn't have done when I was 20. So the excitement for me is that I spent a lot of my life training and then educating others, and I'm getting to go back now and do some of the things that held my passion as a young woman. But when you're a young woman and you're trying to discover what your gifts and talents are and how to best use those, and you also have to, at some point, discover the fact that you're not going to live forever. And you have to decide where you're going to make your imprint and how that's going to be effectual for the rest of your life.
Nurture yourself.
I actually nurture myself because I have a strong, internal conviction about my place in the universe through God and through Jesus Christ. So the way that I nurture myself is that I remember what I'm not, and it helps me to understand what I am. And I remember that I came through struggle and rejection. And I remember that I had lots of trials. And I realized that it's not just me and my own ingenuity and my own sustaining abilities that get me through, that there really is the supernatural power of a gracious God that loves me, that keeps on nurturing me on the inside so that I can display what I've been created to do. So maybe that's a little esoteric, but it really is my dependence on God that allows me to be who He's created me to be.
What would you say at this point in your life experience, has been the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
The greatest lesson that I've learned is that failure is the pathway to success. And that the things that I used to count as failures, I now look back on them as precious jewels that were not buffed out yet, and they didn't have the ability to shine and have an appeal. And I used to kind of curse my life and curse myself when I was a failure at things. And now I realize that anybody that's successful has had to have had their share of failures. And actually, I view failure very differently than I did, even rejection. It's made me stronger to sustain and to withhold against the odds than if I had just been given everything, if I had just been ultra talented and didn't have to work at it, if I had just been the most beautiful girl, if I had just been the smartest in class. So it's made me work harder.
Now, what would you say has been the greatest lesson you've ever taught?
Work hard and only get what you deserve, not what you wish for. Sometimes we get what we wish for and we discover that it wasn't exactly what we wanted in the first place.
So, how do you feel about this stage of your life, being identified as a woman that's obviously 50 or plus? How do you feel about that?
I feel good because I see that it's getting close my retirement and I won't have to work anymore.
Are you looking forward to not having to work? Is that?
Well, I don't think I would be able to stay at home doing nothing, but for a while I think I will enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Then I can volunteer, and I can also do like part-time jobs or something like that.
Are there special things that you want to do in terms of volunteering or being involved once you retire?
I would like to be like an advocate for abused women, something like that, because I was one of them. I am a survivor. And I think that is something that is good to let people know, that there are places where they can feel safe. There are shelters and there are things like that.
Right. What would you say, Carmen, is the greatest lesson that you've ever learned?
I believe it is not do things because what is other people gonna think about you. Because I got married thinking, oh, I have to get married because I already sent invitations. Then, I did it because I didn't want them to talk bad about me. When I knew it was not gonna be a successful marriage.
So you really learned to just be true to yourself.
Yes, do what you think is best, love yourself, and do the best for your people, your kids, or try to do good to others. So if I think it gives you some kind of peace and happiness if you don't feel hate for other people.
How would you define a wise woman?
Don't let the men step on her. Don't let them say you are no good, you are ugly, you are this or that. Don't even pay attention to those things. Then that is being wise. Have make your own mind. I remember that I was mistreated and putting me low down all the time. And instead of just being crying and suffering, I don't know, I can be better. Then I try to do better until I got my own business.
What would you say is the best lesson that you've taught?
So don't give up. Don't give up. Try to reach whatever they want to be. They can achieve it if they really wanted to do it. They work hard to get it. Sometimes it involves sacrifices, but just don't give up.
How would you describe yourself?
Inquisitive. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to learn about. What can I impart to my children? I have quite an extended family. Not only ones that we have quasi-adopted, but ones that have adopted us.
What would you say is the best life lesson that you've ever learned?
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It comes home to roost. It comes home to roost.
And then, what would you say is the best lesson you've ever taught?
An inquiring mind. Don't be satisfied with what you see. Do research. Not just on your word or someone else's word, but find different ways to research.
At this point in your life, being identified as a woman, let's say that's over 50, how would you define a wise woman?
How would I define a wise woman? I would say a wise woman is a woman that looks beyond herself, that incorporates what her mother has taught her, what her father has demonstrated, and what her family means to her.
And where did that love of working with the glass, the artistic aspect of you and the sewing, where did that come from?
From my father. He taught me how to cut glass when I was 8 years old. That's also when I learned how to drive.
Can you tell me about that? You were 8 years old and your father taught you how to drive?
Yeah, we lived here. We lived in Lucerne. We came here in 1938. I was 6 years old. And my father was a mechanic. We lived in Lucerne. He was the only mechanic in the valley. And as I said, I'm the only girl in an all-boys family. I have 3 older brothers. And of course, we had vehicles. We lived 12 miles out of town. And Daddy would say, bring me that vehicle or bring me that vehicle. So one day he said, bring me that truck. And I thought, whoa, what do I do now? And his first expression was, you've been watching me for 6 years.
And what advice, if any, do you give to younger women about living your lives and feeling whole and comfortable within your skin?
Don't follow the crowd. Be your own self. Think for yourself. Develop for yourself. Research for yourself. Take other people's word, true enough, but look at it and see, does it apply to you?
And so your father, of course, must have been very supportive of that.
My mother and father both were. Whatever I felt like I wanted to do, I did. The only regret I have is that I didn't finish college because I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went up, the first year I went away to school, the boys used to tease me. I was the only boy in the only girl in the boys' biology class. So most of my classes, there were no other females. And they did everything they could to deter me. And my father says, my baby doesn't have to take that. He should have said, stand up.
Mm-hmm. You talked about earlier being the first woman
to graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in geology at Long Beach State College. When it was Long Beach State College.
Do you believe that your passion and your purpose are one and the same? Or are they different from you?
Oh, I can't separate my job from who I am. Or you asked about Doug earlier, or who we are. I mean, that's what we do is really part of our life. I won't say it guides it, because I think we have a pretty good social life too, but it's part of us and what makes us. And you know, most people who love their jobs are somewhat defined by those jobs. It gives them purpose in life, and everybody needs to have some purpose and feel part of the community. So I can't separate. Yeah, it's part of it.
How do you feel being identified as a woman 50 plus?
There's some things, you know, I have the issues that people that are getting older have. My knees are not like they were. I'm also a dancer, and I ran a dance studio before. And I have dreams about things I used to be able to do that I cannot do anymore. So it has impacted us physically. But we still ballroom dance. I have a tap class in a Rockettes group that I'm in, and I still do my ballet class. So play tennis when I can. So we're still physical. As I've gotten older, when you asked about whether I'm defined by my job, one of the things I've noticed is as I've gotten older and had all of those experiences in my field, they've all kind of fit together. It's kind of like a box. And in the box, like a printer's box, your undergraduate degree in your education only gives you the framework. And then you start kind of filling things in. And then as you go along, you learn more, and then you start filling in more, and so the whole picture becomes better. Mm-hmm. It's not like we know everything, because we absolutely don't. But we know more than we used to, and I personally know more than I used to. And since my business is a service business, enhancing all of that information, basic information, lets me serve my clients better. So I'm actually better able to solve their problems or assist in solving their problems.
Marriage.
Yes, I'm married.
Yes, you are. For how long?
43 years.
43 years. What would you say are keys to a happy, healthy marriage?
well, you have to love each other and care about them, and care about their future too, not only yourself. Because as you go through the marriage, there's emphasis on different people and people in your family as you go forward. The family sacrifices for this, but it's usually a limited time. I consider myself fortunate because I'm married to Doug. He is like one of the world's nicest people. He's a lot nicer than I am. But we care about each other, and we do things together. I mean, we enjoy doing things together. I think the whole thing is you have to care enough about that person to help them when they need it, help them solve problems when something's not working. You know, you have to be part of the solution.
They are encouraging. They inspire everyone to think differently about mature women, and most importantly, to get women thinking and feeling differently about aging. They are comfortable in their own skin, not longing to be the younger daughters or even their younger selves. They are fabulously desiring to take their experiences and move forward being their best
Over
selves.
50.
They are women over 50.
It's so funny because I just saw it yesterday. So
Oh, is that right?
The girl saying that because it was like on the phone. When I got off the phone, I was like, okay.
I know. You
This is my mother-in-law. This is Belle. No.
She's so pretty. Oh gosh, I ain't going there. That's right. Yeah. You sound very healthy, and you're
And I'm old.
Well, no, you don't.
The kids tell me, they go, how old are you? And your name is Ben.
Ben with two N's. I started as a child.
Oh, that's what your dad did to your mom.
Yeah. They beat me with a guitar. To this day, I hate guitar music.
You don't have any songs.
Oh yes.
Where are you, Ben? We need you. I'm getting good direction from her.
You want that receipt?
Let me grab
Hey,
it.
what is this with her, you know? I'm tall, yeah. That's me. Yeah.
That earning money to get something does give you a wonderful feeling. You know, my mother saved $50.
You know what? Her posture. That's the other thing I always notice on you. Your posture.
Must be from all that meditation.
It is.
And yoga.
I've had yoga before.
I can tell by your posture.
Hey, I don't tear up her carpet, she's gonna be mad. Tear up her backdrop, see?
Okay, that's that.
You didn't get that, did you? Yes, I did.